So before we address the elephant in the room, Rob, thank you very much for taking the time, man. It's an absolute pleasure to speak with you about the band, about the new record. And I want to start off by saying thank you to you or whoever was responsible for taking some clips of my ugly face and putting it together on a reel that you guys did of us watching Nightmare Tripping with our Canadian fellow countryman, I should say, Nickelback.
Yes.
So I don't know
Yeah,
who's responsible for
we
that, but
love
thank
that.
you. Thank you
No,
for
we
doing
love
it.
we our pleasure. We loved your reaction video. It was really funny. So we had to include it. It was great.
And that to me is the elephant in the room. So let's address that, and then we can talk more deeply about the record, because that song was a gateway for me. Honestly, like after doing the video was talk about tripping. I did not see that coming at all. And for both my son and I, that song has set the bar as far as what a collaboration should look like. And we've
Amazing.
covered other bands since your video came out, and we not that we shitted on them, but we criticized them for not being you guys. Because to me, that's the bar now. To me, that's the bar. You guys set the bar.
That's really cool. That's awesome to hear. Thank you.
So
Um,
how does first of all, how does the idea come about? And then how do you execute it as good as you guys did? Like, I mean, this song is out of this world.
Thank you so much. I mean, yeah, I think, it's weirdly this song of all our songs, even though it's a relatively complicated song, there's a lot of ideas there. It almost came together as one of the easiest songs we've ever written in a strange way. Like the initial, I think it was the first song we wrote for this record. So it was one of the earliest ideas. And pretty early on, we knew, okay, we either got to have to be brutal and chop out a load of fucking sections. It's like five songs in one, or we allow it to be what it is and somehow make it work. And it was the first time I think on this album process that where something clicked and we were like in the studio, just like high fiving in the room, like jump. It's quite rare those moments where you're there all buzzing and you finally have the confidence, just even that the song's going to make the record. Because we had got a lot of demos that we're playing around with. We had more demos for this album than we've ever had before in our career. So some were easier to be like, this isn't making it through, it's not good enough. Some were, they just didn't feel for the first time. We were like, actually, this is really good, but it's not feeling in this world. It's not in the world that we're creating right now with this record. We put to one side. But once those first initial ideas clicked together, which was, the kind of flow from the intro riff to the verse to that nightmare tripping section, we always used to call it like the Bee Gees section. Um, and to the chorus. Once that clicked, we were like, we've got something special here. Um, and then we were exhausted, put it to one side, um, came back to it with our producer Dan, and then it honestly just flowed. It was a really cool recording experience. Like we'd all had a week or two break from the studio. I've been to Glastonbury Festival, and I feel like whenever you go to festivals and have a good time, it just kind of gives you that exposure, and that it reawakens your love for music, which is why we're doing this. Where it's very easy to be in your own world, in your own head, and you're in your band, and you're just living and breathing the songs on that album. Because a lot of the time when you're working in the studio all day, you don't want to go home and then listen to more music. It's the last thing you want to do. So to be able to just go to a festival and check out a load of new bands, loads of new artists that I'd never seen before, stumble into random tents, enjoy just what it is to have that kind of the freedom and the musical discovery that a festival like Glastonbury can bring, where it's so eclectic.
Mhm.
I kind of came back to the studio with this, it gave me a lot of clarity in this where to take the song, and it was like, no, we are on the right path. it's this is a journey. This song is not this is not a one idea classic pop song. This is a journey. Let's just do what feels good. And once we kind of had that dialed in, it really flowed super easy. It was really fun collaborating with Dan Lancaster, producer, on it. Um, and it was like we kind of it felt almost there, but we were like, there's still room for this. And it was in these kind of moments of just throwing ideas around that the Nickelback idea came up. It's I was kind of struggling to remember how it happened. But I'm pretty sure it was the first riff that got got the Nickelback idea in our heads because this album is the kind of the first time that we've been really like wearing our influences on our sleeve a lot more. I think previously we've been scared to go down certain routes, or we'll have an idea or a riff or a melody, and if it sounds too much like one of the bands that we listen to that inspired us, we don't want to ever rip anyone off. We want to be influenced by and create something new from it. And I think I was actually quite concerned. I was worried that it sounded the riff and the song to a degree felt too much like System of a Down because they're one of my favorite points. They're some favorite bands. They're like a big reference point to me in a band that can combine a lot of elements in a song and an album and create a lot of different feelings and emotions and create some really powerful music while still also having this sense of fun and discovery and irony and very serious lyrics counterpointed with just some really funny crazy weird shit. So I was the way the chorus kind of comes out of nowhere in this song, I was kind of concerned about that. And in regards to the first riff, and I think it was Simon was like, "Come on, like, we love the riff, and it's it feels like a classic like metal opening to a song, and the energy it brings, we love." And we were talking about bands that might. It was like Sister might have played a riff like this, but also it could be a Metallica song. It could have, Nickelback could probably. I could hear Nickelback playing a riff like that, and I was like, "Oh, you're kind of right there." And it reminded us that we had Nickelback's email from the year previously. They'd reached out and after coming to one of our Vancouver shows and let us know that they were aware of our band and had deep dived our catalog. So we were like, let's throw it out there. We've got their email. I could see them. We less imagined Chad on the chorus, to be honest, and more just imagined them like, performing that riff and that energy. And we were like, this could be a very exciting, different song for them to do. Who knows? We'll give it a shot. And luckily, yeah, they came back and loved the song. Honestly, I think they recorded their parts within like a week or 2 weeks of kind of hearing it. They were really, really rapid. They elevated that song so much for us. Like the chorus just kind of came alive, like the harmonies and the kind of vocals they provided to lift that, not just Chad's leads, but Ryan's backing vocals and the almost it just feels like such a big arena rock chorus. And I think, it's a testament to like Nickelback as a band in it's like a very identifiable sound. Once you hear those the type of harmonies they do, I was like, oh wow, this suddenly not really feeling like a Nickelback chorus. It suddenly felt like a Nickelback chorus. And I think in our mind it was really obvious right from the start as well, like the different areas I thought they could do, like Chad doing that kind of low talky um, talk thing in the second verse. It's like a kind of spoken word moment. Um, I I just knew I was like, this will be really fresh, and I think he'll nail this. And to bring them into these different elements of the song, especially the final last chorus where it's this, light at the end of the tunnel moment. It's the uplifting, the uplifting. You've been through the nightmare and you're coming out the other side and waking up to something that is finally seeing some hope. To have Ryan playing that solo at the end was just made for us because we traditionally as a band, we're a one guitar band. Our guitarist Simon is like very militant about not allowing any two. There's never like a second guitar part on any Don Broco songs. He's like, no, if I can't play it myself, I don't want it on the recorded version. But the fact we had Nickelback like two more guitarists if we really needed to be on that last chorus, it was like, okay, sick, we can have the rhythm section giving the power and have this uplifting solo. So even though that's actually a really, basic thing for most bands, having two guitars, for us, it was so exciting to be like, hell yeah, we can do this. So it actually came together really quickly. They smashed all their parts out first time. Um, the tweaks they made, or the little inflections, the way Chad performs, um, it was all faultless. So everything was good to go pretty much straight away. And then once hearing that song, a song that you've worked on and written in a new light, when you've got someone else singing parts that you've written and words and that mean so much to you, it just took on like a whole new life for us as a band. And it was, yeah, honestly, one of the best like writing, creating music experiences we've ever had, full stop, in our entire career. So yeah, we can't thank Nickelback enough for making it just so easy and giving us and believing in us and giving us the confidence to just like fulfill our vision of the song. It was wicked.
I don't know if I mentioned in the video or not, but I had had some edibles before checking out the video. So I was already kind of tripping on my own. But I
Yeah,
figured like,
yeah,
this collaboration requires a little bit extra on my side. So I had some edibles and I was like, when the song started, I'm like, I don't know if this was a good idea on me because the song
yeah,
is trippy enough as it is. And then
yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was the song or if it was me that was tripping. Like it made for an outstanding experience. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that is a great first experience of that song. I'm
Yeah, yeah. Like
I'm kind of jealous. I'd love
it
to
was
try that.
it made the whole experience like it just emphasized everything about it. It's literally turning the knob all the way to 11 as far as
Yeah.
listening to that song. But it's you mentioned two important things. I mean, I actually you mentioned one important thing and I want to piggyback on collaborations because you mentioned the influences. This is not the only collaboration on the record. You have Sam Carter of Architects on True Believers. And let me ask you this. Are you a big fan of Beck? Because I felt like the chorus on that track kind of reminded me a little bit of Beck.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan, but like I do, yeah, I really enjoy Beck, and I think it's probably that again, the chorus and True Believers, as in like the kind of mid-late section and the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
section. Yeah, it's got that kind of trippy, transposed acoustic guitar
yeah, yeah.
on it that Beck has utilized and does so well, and kind of just feels very ethereal and otherworldly, and a little off-putting because you're like, this feels,
Especially how the
um,
verses develop. Coming from the verses into that area, it just it does have that a little bit of a jarring effect to it, but it works so well
yeah,
because it hits you at the right time in the overall construction of the song.
awesome. No, that's wicked to hear. That's really cool.
Yeah, I thought the collaboration was really cool. It was something that you guys wanted to do. It was Sam someone you wanted to have on the record, or do you have another cool story like the Nickelback one?
No, it was I mean, it was kind of way more obvious to me on this song, who I wanted on it. It was the Nickelback thing almost came about by accident while writing True Believers. Um, Within, I think, the first day of writing it, that kind of build section that comes back twice as long the second time, I was just envisioning, playing it live, and I was envisioning what would it be like to be, in the mosh pit. You're hearing the tension building. the second verse is coming, you know something's coming. And I was just thinking the sickest thing live would be some crazy dude just running on from side stage, fucking grabbing the mic, letting loose, bringing like a fresh energy. And once I had that in my mind, I just knew Sam was the right guy for the job because he's an incredible, aggressive vocalist. Like, he's an incredible singer too. But like, he's obviously known for, just having such a powerful, powerful scream. Um, the energy he brings to the live show. And I knew he was the right, like, again, like the subject matter of the song. And I know, what architects stand for and a lot of what they sing about in their tunes. I just thought he'd be the perfect guy for it. So pretty much straight away, I was like, he would be my dream collaboration on this song. Um, Unlike Nickelback, who we'd actually spoken to before, we'd never actually really spoken to architects much before this. Like bumped into him once or twice at festivals and things like that. But I don't know Sam personally. We've got a load of mutual friends, and I know he's from all my friends. He's friends with him. He's a legend. So I wasn't. Yeah, I know he's such a nice guy. I wasn't too scared about hitting him up. So I just messaged him on Instagram and sent him the track, and he got back and loved it and was up for getting involved. So it was again a very very like awesome experience. Recording that with him. He managed to come to the studio and lay down his parts, so we got to talk about it and work out the different ways he could perform it. And he's just such a pro. He just came in. He had a couple of hours free. He was actually back in the UK from America. He'd been sorry, but from Europe. They was on the Linkin Park tour. It was still happening, and he had like 2 days off where he'd come back for a wedding, had like 1 day free before he had to go back. Came to the studio, bashed it all out in a couple of hours. Just honestly, just killed it first time. And again, it was a very very easy process, like very fun, easy. And like so many things in life are not easy, and so many things in music are not easy. And writing an album can really not be easy. But the way these two collaborations came, actually ended up, I'm just so grateful that they were such an enjoyable, like chill experience. So yeah, I know they don't always work out like that, and I'm sure if we try and do it again, they might not. But we'll see.
I already recorded my review of the album. I haven't posted yet. I'm gonna release it closer about a week before the album actually drops. But I remember mentioning in my review, I compared this album from a diversity standpoint, from an eclectic nature standpoint, but perhaps more important, how you guys brought the diversity of the record together, and it still feels like a full body of work. I compared you guys to the Beatles and to Queen because for me, the Beatles and
Wow.
Queen. Yeah, because
Dude,
there's not honestly, when I think of
wow.
bands that would release albums where song one and song four look nothing alike, they look like they belong to two different bands, not never mind records, just two different bands altogether. I don't think anybody's ever done it as well as the Beatles and Queen has ever put together eclectic albums that still felt like a real album, not just a collection of songs. And I had the same experience listening to this album. Uh, what
That's amazing. Thank you.
what do you attribute to that? Because it must be somewhat difficult to bring so many different styles, so many different songs together, but still give the listener the experience of what it means to listen to Don Broco from beginning to end in a full body of work album.
Honestly, that's one of the best things anyone has ever said to me. Because not only just the Beatles and Queen, because obviously it doesn't get better than the Beatles and Queen. Um, and we have always been a very eclectic band, and we have throughout our discography, we've evolved, and every album is quite different. Um, Especially like our first three, you're kind of finding your feet, finding your sound. But within those albums, we've always had a real variety of stuff. And I think it's sometimes hard for us as a band when people ask us like, what do you sound like? Like what, it's, we always struggle kind of explaining who we are because we, we just kind of follow the vibes. When we're writing an album, we just follow what's feeling good and try not to pay too much attention to genre or if it makes sense. And I think that has this kind of its positives and negatives. You know, being a new band and people kind of are trying to understand you for the first time. You know, you sometimes for a band like us, you have to have a fair amount of patience to really understand what makes it work. And this is the first time we've ever actually kind of set ourselves few basic parameters of what we wanted an album to be. And you know, we knew from the outset that we wanted to keep exploring in you know heavy guitars, heavy music. Since our third record, Technology, you know, we've always loved you know heavy bands, but I think we shied away from that in our kind of first two albums. From which was kind of different from our EPs, like our early EPs. And you know, we've been making music since we were at school. Yeah, we were trying all sorts of stuff out. You know, for a year, we were a straight up metal band. You know, it's like you know, you figure out who you are. And for this record, I really wanted to make like the most cohesive version of Don Broco. So at least on this record, you know, you've got an identity of a collection of songs that yeah do take you on a journey and do give you some breadth and an experience, but they do at least fit together. And we know with that we had to just make some kind of tough choices where there were some ideas for other songs that we really loved and we would thought were super, you know, some of our favorite ideas we'd written, but we're like, this does not feel right on this album. And, you know, having the confidence to put it to one side and say, look, this is for another project. This can be for another album. You know, this isn't dead. This song isn't, you know, it's not like we've lost our chance to ever write it, but let's put this aside. And this is the album we want to create right now. And I think, yeah, hopefully within that, like, again, as you said, there will be people who hear it that, you know, it makes a bit more sense to people, especially new people coming in for the first time. And it takes you, yeah, takes you to a place that is all within one world rather than jumping around too many things. I think as well, probably the subject matter helps as well. It's the first time on a record that I've like lingered on certain themes and feelings. Like previous albums, I might have jumped around and I kind of had this idea in my head that every song that give a new idea or a new perspective or a you know talk about something different. I think this idea it was like no, if there's something I'm feeling and I want to explore, I can do that over a number of songs, and I wasn't worried about you know reusing ideas you know throughout the album. So I'm hoping that combination of you know trying to create a heavy record, refine it a bit, and maybe the lyrical themes have you know all those little things have added to that in some way. So yeah, that's amazing that you picked up on that because that is something for the first time we've actually tried with and made some
Yeah,
effort
it
with.
honestly it blew me away because I was not expecting it to be that way. I was expecting the album to feel like a compilation, like where you get a very different song from song to song, very different, which still works, but then it feels more like I'm listening to a playlist and a lot less like a full body of work. But very early on in my listening experience with the record, I realized that I just didn't realize what it was. I'm like, I don't know what's gluing all of this together, but there is a glue to this record, even though. I almost equated it to like a movie, right? A movie has different scenes, but when you put all of those scenes together, it makes what the whole movie is about. Not every scene looks the same. There's not the
Yeah,
same people in
yeah.
every scene. So it kind of felt that way to me. And I was just like, I don't know how they did it because it can't be easy considering like, you know, the choices that you guys had, but I thought you did a phenomenal job.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's really cool.
Rob, we're out of time, but let's do this. Next time you're in Toronto, if you're up for it, let's do this in person.
Yes, yeah, would love to.
So next time you guys are in
Definitely.
Toronto, I'll talk to the people in charge. I'll set something up and I'll come to the show with my son and I'll bring some edibles for all of us and
I
and we
don't know
can
how performing nightmare
afterwards
tripping on some
afterwards.
edibles for you.
Uh, like
That would be a vibe.
no, no, I mean that would definitely be a vibe. But we'll definitely do this in person. Thank you very much for your time. I love the record. I think you guys have one of those albums of the year that people will be talking about in their lists when it comes to around November, December, and everybody's putting those lists together. This record checks so many boxes. Like I said, it reminded me of the Beatles and Queen in terms of how you designed the record. And then it's such a fucking insane journey from top to bottom. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really cool to hear.
Thank you, man. Thank you for
Appreciate
your
that.
time.
Thank you. See you in Toronto.
See you in Toronto.